Join me as I tackle the tips and tricks to nail your behavioral interview, and also some pro tips on how you can approach it and maybe get that next job of your dreams. Do you feel anxious? Do you feel that sometimes you can't articulate exactly the experiences you've had in a way that'd be beneficial in an interview? I'm going to give you the 4 steps of how to master a behavioral interview and how you can prepare and utilize these steps in all your stories as you're preparing for this interview. And I'll go ahead and tell you right now, there is a STAR method that'll be able to help you and increase your capabilities as you grow and continue to grow within your career. This week I did a lot of thinking about this video, and I was trying to discover what was the most important parts of an interview. Is it dressing? Is it the way you speak? Is it your demeanor? I'll give you one little interesting thing about me. I like to say at least one funny thing in the interview to see if everyone gets a laugh. Just anything to just be able to make that impression that everyone in there feels comfortable enough to have at least one little laugh in a professional manner. But if I can make that connection, I know I have done my job in establishing a connection with every person that is involved in this interview, and it's memorable. It's associating a positive vibe. Now that advice isn't for everyone. That is a particular device that I use, but I think people could try that. More than anything, are you making a memorable experience that is positive during your interview? And I think that is more important than anything else you will do in an interview setting. I've been studying interviewing for quite a while, and in all my years of all the different tools that have come in and out of focus for me, especially considering during the COVID era, we had some different challenges that became very apparent when you were interviewing for a job. Previously, all interviews had been done in person, and they had to actually move to a web-based interviewing process, which has its own challenge, but also has its own opportunities. The thing I enjoyed from the interview process during COVID was the fact that you could have more materials in front of you as you were presenting, which to some people may be a distraction, but for me it was a great tool to be able to utilize during an interview, and I was actually able to be successful at it. In an interview, preparation is key. And I don't know if everyone actually puts as much thought into it, but I want to tell you, you can tell if someone is or isn't prepared during an interview based on how they dress, based on their situational awareness during the interview, on having curveball questions thrown at them. And I want to tell you, the best way to prepare for any of these situations is to either research online, maybe some other leadership tool chest videos. There's also some other options you can have, such as taking a notebook, writing down a lot of key questions. I feel like that is so important. It also gives you time as you're writing down the questions that they're asking to kind of really have that question sit with you. It also gives you something later on to be able to go back to in case you get a chance to interview for another job if this one doesn't work out. I think being able to continuously grow from an interview is absolutely huge on future possibilities. So take all that into account. With the STAR method, situation, task, action, result, each one of these 4 steps is driven for you to be a storyteller in the situation, the task, the action, and what resulted in that. And these behavioral interview questions are designed to find out what you did, and it's able to be able to articulate that is how you're able to be successful. And I've found that every single day of your life, you are having situations and scenarios that have occurred to you, with you, around you, and how can you take those situations? What did you see in those situations? What was your tasking? What actions did you perform? And then eventually delivering a result. you do that every single day, whether you know it or not. And being able to articulate that clearly in an interview is absolutely paramount. And I feel like this can apply every single day because you are interviewing every single day, either with your boss, with other people that you're around. People see doers, people that are able to get things accomplished, and people are able to take that and go, I think this guy would be a perfect fit for a role, or I believe this is the person I need to be able to handle this next job. Every single day, you are interviewing whether you know it or not. Number one, situation. I think the key identifier for situation is kind of setting the initial story, talking about where you were, what was the true issues. The situation differentiator between that and the task is the situation is where you were working, who you were working around, what was the issues. If you say I was working, I'll give you a perfect example. If you say, I'm going to start out laying out the groundwork. When I was a supervisor working on a flight line, these were the details and this was the issues that I was having at that time. And then that'll lead into the next part. Number two, task. Tasking is a completely different scenario from the situation. Tasking is what were you given to deliver on? And being able to define that clearly and articulate that is extremely important during a behavioral interview. It shows that you actually understand what the real task was that your boss had given you. It's not saying, I was supposed to get this done. It's saying, I was given these resources. I was able to understand that we had a timetable that was schedule driven. We had a deliverable that was based on economics. We had, I guess I'll continue my story. I was a supervisor out on the flight line and I was given the task of delivering a very broken aircraft. It was behind schedule, it was over cost. I was given this aircraft to bring it back in to a reasonable date and to make sure that we were actually hitting our targets and how could we make this beneficial for the company. It sounds simple when I say it like that, but actually doing it's way different. I can promise you that. Number three, action. So for the action part, you've already set up the situation. You were describing the tasking that's been given to you. What action did you take? Just really, really clearly. If it's bringing people together, if it's bridging knowledge gaps, if it's cross-training, I think being able to add all these different aspects to what you've actually accomplished is how you're able to really sell that story and to tell people what it is that you were able to accomplish, usually within a team dynamic. Not just taking credit for everything, but was it your leadership that was able to help deliver this? So we'll go back to the working the flight line, trying to deliver a broken aircraft that was behind schedule and over cost. I basically decided that it made more sense to bring on some more subject matter experts. And with that, I was able to identify some critical areas that we could catch up on the schedule and to pull in the schedule about 9 days. That leads into the final part. Number four, result. The result. What has driven your entire story is on how you delivered it. It's all about taking the situation, maybe not ideal. The testing was probably borderline unreasonable, but the actions that you took are actually delivering the results. And the results, such as this scenario of working a flight line with a broken aircraft that was behind schedule and overrun on costs, I took the responsibility to bring on subject matter experts. We found potential testing that could be combined in a creative way. And with that, we resulted in pulling back about 5 days of a 9-day schedule overrun, which was over 55%. And we ended up delivering that aircraft in a way that the customer was extremely happy. It had very few non-conformances, and we delivered a quality product that ended up just being a total success. And we know that there was still some challenges, but getting the team to learn lessons on that, we're able to make sure that we trained other individuals and we started pulling in schedule on other aircraft. And with all that, that delivered stockholder benefits as far as the stock went up as we were delivering more aircraft in a timely fashion. And it actually showed that our other work centers, we were able to push back people to be able to continue building on this, and it started building momentum. So bringing all that together and showing that how important it is to identify these key factors, and how you're identifying these key factors will show your interviewer that you are thinking more of a business mindset. And not everyone does that. Some people just want to go work a job. Some people want to just go and just be part of a team. But being a leader and being able to decisively understand your tasking and the actions that you take result in making companies benefit is absolutely how you nail that next job interview. And I think it's important to identify these things and showing that you care about all the cost benefits, all the schedule and timing. These are all important benefactors to finding successful employees and how you can get them in your company. It's also good to have a couple questions set up to show the interviewers that you are really interested in the role. I think it's important to identify, doesn't have to be super complicated, but it shows you're thinking and you're very interested in the role. I mean, you're already interviewing for it, absolutely, but there are so many people that are doing so many multiple resumes, putting in for so many different jobs. Ask a question that's probing to where you are asking something that makes you memorable. The biggest thing about the interview is you want to be memorable. And with that, I think it's really important to be able to look at the interviewers and say, I have this value, I'm very creative, I'm gonna create value for your company, I'm very interested in what you're doing, and I really wanna be enjoying a part of this team. I think that says more about you as an interviewee than anything. One of the questions that I like to ask my interviewers is, what is the potential for this role? Now, depending on what the role, that may not be applicable. So apply that with your own risk, but I think it's good to really ask yourself, what is something that really says I'm interested, but also that I have potential and I would like to grow eventually? Think about that. And one more thing, dressing. And we'll show some video of kind of this thrown together outfit I have on today. But your outfit really says a lot about you. And once again, this is purely situational. I've known managers, senior managers that do not wear ties to interviews. I've known executives that did not wear jackets. I think it is all about your confidence. If you walk into I'm going to do a random scenario. If you walk into a senior manager interview with a jacket and no tie on, and in the interview, you happen to bring up, I'm not wearing a tie today, not for your benefit, because I want you to know I'm relatable and this is how I approach these situations. I don't see any issue with that. I think more than anything, it has a lot more to do with your confidence, how you speak to things. But if you're entering into a professional environment, I think it says a lot about you, what you decide to wear. I don't think it is 100% wear a suit, wear a tie, wear a blazer. I don't think any of that is 100%. I think it has to do with you as a person. And I think if it's important to you to wear certain things or not wear certain things, I think it's more important to be true to yourself and not just put on a suit and you're never gonna wear it again. I think that is absolutely the most important part, and it tells you if you want to work for this employer or not. If this is out of the way you would normally dress or act, or maybe this isn't the place for you. And I think the interview is a perfect example of dress for the job you want, but also don't be afraid to be yourself. All these other portions you've already been prepping for, whether it's answering the behavioral questions, being creative in the way you describe your situations. Your answer says a lot about you. I believe a portion of it is the way you were dressed, how you carry yourself, your positive demeanor. I think all these things are factors, but really at the end of the day, the interview is all based on you. And with all that, I want to ask you, leave a comment below if you've had any type of interesting interviews where either it was some situation, or have you used the behavioral STAR format before? I just want to hear a like and a comment from you. If you've had something good, bad, indifferent, I just want to hear from you. I'm excited about how this channel's we've moved beyond book reviews, and I'm trying to give people tools to help them grow as they continue to interview, work on their resumes, and we'll see what the future holds. But leave me a comment if you have any other ideas for any other future videos, and I'm excited for people to be joining me here at the Leaders Tool Chest, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.